Hi guys, so I'm sure by now you know just how much I love Orks. Whether they're spelled with a C or a K, I just love them all. And I'm obviously not the only one. There's a guy out there called MrModulork, and he makes some awesome figures. These are STL files, obviously you download and 3D print yourself. And yeah, I think they are just amazing looking, great detail, and certainly give old Warhammer a run for their money, because these figures are just awesome. But not only does he make these figures, but there's also a game, and it's called Modulorka. It's free to download, get all the rules and everything else for it free. There's a link in the description, guys, to where you can get this. Yeah, obviously you have to print out and pay for the STL files for the Orks, but obviously you could use your own Orks, or well, whatever you want to use really. But yeah, go check them out, guys. Link in the description, and fantastic game, and obviously fantastic miniatures. So obviously I've gone on to my mini factory, and that's where I've got these from. You can get the rule set there, like it says here. It's obviously nice and free. And yeah, there's a variety of horde sort of faction figures you can get. So obviously you play against someone else, it's sort of two teams. But yeah, a whole variety of different types of Orks, weapon layouts. There's some bosses as well, and yeah, just absolutely tons of awesome looking figures. Yeah, and I just love these guys. In my element here. So obviously I've done something a little bit different here. As you can see, I printed them out, but they're quite small, and that's because I printed them out at 50% of the size. And the reason for this is I want to make this game but into like a travel sort of set. So I'm going to build a box and a layout and obviously all the terrain and everything else I need, but it's all going to be in a small sort of pocket-sized edition, which is going to be pretty cool. So the other great thing with these figures is obviously, as you can see, they're printed out in separate parts. So you get sort of like legs separate, torso separate, and obviously a whole variety of weapons, guns, axes, all kinds of bits and pieces. So very modular, so you can sort of assemble them, well, as you want really, which is pretty cool. So I've printed out enough parts to make up 2 teams, and each team is going to have sort of 5 regular Orks and then 1 boss Ork. And this chap you see here, he's a boss Ork. I printed him out at 60%, just so he would be a little bit taller. Plus I'm also giving him some shoulder pads. So this is just to help when we play the game, as I'm probably going to play this game with my son. This makes it easier for us both to sort of recognise who the leader is of the other team. So there's a whole variety of sort of skirmishes and missions and different game types you can play. But the one that I've seen that I really like is where you need to take out the your opponent's leader. So again, this just makes it easier for me and my son to see who the leader is on the opposite team. As you can see, he's gone together really well. And I say these are really cute because they are 50% of the normal size, and yeah, just diddy. So to help make it easier to paint them, because obviously they are quite small, as you can see, I've stuck 3 on a lollipop stick and attached it to my handle, which makes it a lot easier to sort of, well, paint 3 at once. So good old Slapchop technique here, prime in black, undercoat. Well, I'm going straight into dry brushing with white, because these are quite small. It wasn't really worth doing a dry brush with grey, so I've gone straight in with dry brushing with white. And yeah, it's interesting to see just how small you can do the Slapchop technique. You'll have seen recently I've done it on a tank, and it came out pretty cool. Obviously I've been doing it on all my regular figures, well, for the last 2 months, and just loving the effect and the result. And yeah, I wanted to see if it could sort of work really well on miniatures that, say, they're half the size. So these are about 16-17mm in height, so very diddy. As both teams are Orks, and I printed out similar looking ones, to help distinguish between the 2 sides, I'm going to do one sort of group of Orks in the usual sort of green that I use, and the other one I'm going to paint blue. I've wanted to paint some blue Orks for ages, and this obviously seems the perfect time to do that, just because it does make it a whole lot easier when I'm playing this game with my son or whoever. Yeah, I'll be able to tell my Orks from their Orks. But say there are a whole variety of different types of Orks with different weapons, layouts and looks. So you could do or print out 2 teams of Orks, paint them the same colour, but you could tell who's on whose side a lot easier. But say just for ease and sort of look, I like the idea of both these teams have got a shooter and a an axe or a knife of some sort. So yeah, painting them one blue and one green it's obviously the easiest way to distinguish who's on your side and who's not. As you can see, I'm kind of batch painting all these figures just because it makes it a lot easier, so that I can get one colour, go round, use that on all the figures. So I'm going to paint the green skins even first here, and then the blue ones. So it is a case of using the green and painting all 6 of the little miniatures. And then once I've done that, then I'll go on to the blue team, paint all their sort of miniatures, the blue skin. And by the time I've done that, I can go back to these ones, and then the paint's dried, and I can get the next colour, which is pretty cool. Because it makes it a lot quicker to paint doing the batch painting, especially with this sort of technique as well, because it is that simple. I can get the whole of these done. I think it's about 2 hours, just over 2 hours maybe. So yeah, not bad at all. I did half of this in a live stream, so it was a bit slower because obviously I do a lot of chatting in the live stream. But yeah, really pleased with how these have come out. And I say I just love the size of them. So I am considering doing more sort of or more printing at half the size. Just to say, I love the size of these figures. They obviously take up a whole lot less room, as that is something I do sort of mention quite a bit. That now I have got a ton of figures, it is a case of where do I put them all. So I am making a lot of the display cases to obviously help sort of alleviate that problem. If you haven't seen any of the display cases, guys, go and check out my videos. There's a great sort of display case that I'm making now for all my kill teams. It's a modular stackable display case. It's a great way of obviously holding the figures and showing them off. And say, because it's stackable, it obviously takes up less room, which is pretty cool. But yeah, printing out figures at 50% is definitely going to save on room, as well as ink and resin, which is pretty cool. And I might start making some dioramas with some little figures. And again, just because I can make well, bigger looking smaller dioramas, if that makes any sense. Because I like doing things with dragons, and obviously normal sized dragons, well, being miniature, are quite large. But if I do them miniature, then yeah, I could do a large dragon and a lovely little diorama. Let me know in the comments, guys, if any of you lot play any sort of miniature Warhammer gaming sort of games at 16mm. I'd love to sort of see what other kind of games there are that use this scale. Yeah, I say I love it. If anything, I wouldn't mind playing this sort of size for everything, including kill teams. So I might start actually printing out some sort of smaller kill teams and smaller terrain. So I do love the size of the kill team board, but obviously if it could be even smaller, then yeah, even better. I say the fact that I'm going to make this Modulorka into a pocket-sized game. So I am going to build, it's kind of like a chess set sort of box, if you can imagine that. So all the bits and pieces are inside it. You open up the box, take the pieces out, and then you obviously play on top of the board or the chess box. So that'll be a separate video, guys, so keep an eye out for that. Especially now I've got my laser cutter. That's going to make cutting out the bits of MDF I need so much easier, and it's going to look obviously so much nicer because it can be some nice square 90-degree cut edges, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, that video should be out in about a week's time, I reckon. I should have the box done. But say this one is just purely getting all the figures and well, getting them painted, as you can see, and just sort of checking out that this sort of size, say about 16mm, these dudes, does work really well with the printing as well. So the definition in these guys is just awesome. They don't seem to have lost anything being printed obviously half the size. And obviously I love the fact that I can slap chop these, so painting them in exactly the same way that I paint all my figures now. Priming in black, dry brushing, and then good old speed paints, contrast paints, dipping inks, whatever you've got. And yeah, getting some great results on well, some very diddy little figures. If you want to see Modulorka being played, then go and check out Tabletop Hub, as they recently published, well, a little battle report thingy, what's it, of the game being played. Link in the description to their YouTube channel, guys. Go and check them out. So yeah, back to the painting. Obviously it didn't take long at all done. Usual last sort of step, anything that wasn't a contrast or speed paint, I go over and, well, absolutely cover the thing in a wash. Yeah, I do use too much, but I like it. And obviously it's down to yourselves how you paint things. So you paint it how you like it, I paint things how I like it, and yeah, I smother things in a wash that yeah, that wasn't a contrast paint. And yeah, that's them done. Obviously one last thing to do to get these little suckers off, because this stuff is, or the resin is a lot more brittle than your normal sort of, well, Warhammer figures. Rather than just trying to scrape these little suckers off, because I kind of thought if I did that with the old blade, I would end up, well, I'd end up breaking all their legs. They would just come apart. So instead, cunning little plan. When I bought the super glue that I've got, I also brought a, well, a de-gluer, if that makes any sense. And yeah, it's this stuff, Superglue De Bonder. And it's simply a case of, well, squirting this out to wherever you've glued the bits. So obviously all over their feet. Comes out pretty quick, this stuff. And then yeah, left it for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes or so. And yeah, they just popped off. Obviously took a little bit of a wiggle, but very pleased that they did just come off on their own accord. And yeah, I didn't have to get the blade and try and slice them out, which was pretty cool. And then a little clean up just to get off the this sort of fluid liquidy stuff, and then putting them on my usual clear bases. And as usual, I get my clear bases from 3D Fluid Workshop. Again, link in the description, guys. And this is what I say, they really do sort of all kinds of size bases. So I've gone for some very small ones. These are, I think these are 18 millimeters and 1 millimeter thick. And yeah, there we go. A nice full, well, 2 armies ready to battle it out. So I say, I think I might have a go at doing some kill teams in this size. Just for the fun of it, and because I think they look really cute. And now to see them in all their glory. I have to say, I absolutely love the size of these little figures. I say, obviously, other than the fact they do obviously take up a whole lot less room, which is pretty cool, and certainly less paint. It also means I can print out terrain for these dudes at the smaller scale, which is obviously great when you don't have a lot of room to sort of store things or even play the games. So yeah, everything is 50% of the size and just looks awesome. And the other thing that's awesome is all my lovely patrons who help support the channel, as well as my sponsors, as without their help I wouldn't be able to keep producing videos each week. So cheers, guys. If you want to become a patron, there's a link at the end as well as in the description. It's only a couple of £1 a month. It all goes towards me buying more bits and pieces, and you get to see behind the scenes stuff for what I'm currently working on. Okay guys, if you like this video, let me know in the comments down below. Leave some thumbs up, and if you want to see some more miniatures, let me know what you'd like to see, well, see me do next. Okay guys, you all take care. Bye for now.